What's up, guys? Don Hill here, Tampa Bay Real Producers. We are at The Vault in downtown Tampa for our second annual Agent's Choice Award. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Tampa Bay Real Producers podcast, powered by Top Producers Nation. This, of course, is the podcast that is made for real producers, by real producers, and with none other than Tampa Bay's real producers, such as our guest today. We have Miss Susie Witzigman. How are you, Susie? It's good to have you here. Yeah, no doubt. Susie and I just met actually for the first time here off camera. If you follow what we do, you might have seen Susie's face being featured as our rising star in our most recent issue, actually, which was just last month. I guess that was our March issue, I believe, that Susie was featured. So I'm sure Rob will pull that up and you can check that out. But you can always find that too at tampabayrealproducers.com. Check out our publications and you'll see Susie's story. So for people who might not know you that well, let's start a little bit with just your background. Did you grow up in this area? If not, how did you get yourself to Tampa Bay and eventually get interested in real estate?
So I did not grow up in Tampa. I grew up in upstate New York.
I'm a Connecticut guy. All right. So you're Northeast too.
Yep. So where there's more cows than people.
Buffalo, Rochester.
North of Syracuse.
North of Syracuse. Okay.
Yeah. So
pretty chilly
close,
up there.
Pretty much Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have two mailboxes, the winter and the summer.
That's right. Yep. I'm familiar.
Yep. So I went to school up there. I did a little bit of college. I did art school.
Okay.
I ended up moving to Florida. My brother was already down here. And then
in Tampa?
No, I was actually in Orlando area.
Okay.
And then I was dating someone. I found myself pregnant with my son, which was amazing. We opened up a restaurant over here in Tampa. And
you were in the restaurant business. That's neat.
I helped him open up that restaurant, and then I ended up moving to Cheesecake Factory.
Okay.
So I worked there for quite a while.
Okay.
And I wanted to get into real estate for a while, and I was a little hesitant too, just because being a single parent, I was like, and then also he was younger. But then I finally just did it. I was like, you know what? I need to show him that, you can go for your dreams. You can do things.
Anything's possible, huh?
Exactly. Because I was like, how can I tell him, you can do this, you can do that if I'm not doing it.
Sure.
So I wanted to show him by example.
That makes sense.
So I had, when I first started, I even had him when he was little knocking on doors with me with flyers.
That's neat.
And all that. And I'm going to open houses and showings and...
Very cool.
So he's seen it all. He's seen my business grow.
What made you want to get into real estate to begin with? Was it in your family? What was it that was appealing to you about it?
So I loved waiting tables, and what I loved about waiting tables was I got to meet different people every day. I got to help people, but I was kind of capped at what I could make and do. So I was like, what could I do that would be kind of like this, but where I didn't have a cap?
Yeah.
And I started researching a little bit more. One of actually my coworkers at Cheesecake Factory got his real estate license, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do that. Like, I now I know I can do it.
Okay.
So I did. I ended up taking the class, passed the first time, which I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, this is real. I was like, wow.
Didn't take multiple attempts, huh?
No, which was shocking. But I studied like a nerd. I had flashcards, and I read the book like 3 times, like front to back, right before I took the exam.
Right.
I was that nerd. But
and it seemed to work.
It worked.
You actually passed.
I know, and it was
And I think
funny.
you said off camera it was 2015 that you got licensed?
Yes.
Okay.
When I took the state exam, I took it so fast. Like I was like, oh, this was too easy. So I went back and I was like, because you have a lot of time to take it. And I was like, well, let me go back and just look at the questions. And I was like, no, I'm not going to change anything, because I feel like that's when you change it to the wrong answer.
Right.
So I passed.
So was the fact that your brother was already down here, was that what drew you to Florida initially, or did you have other
Yes.
reasons?
So I came down here to go to his high school graduation.
Okay.
And
that was in Orlando though, right?
Yeah. And I'm like a year and a half older than him. So I came down here. I was like, oh my gosh, the weather is amazing. It's not dreary. You don't have to shovel the snow. I was
Yeah.
like, this is amazing.
Especially living in upstate New York,
Yeah,
it's very different.
It's always gray.
Yes, I know.
Always gray.
Yes, I know. So I guess you don't miss it very much, huh?
No.
Go back in the
Christmas-
summer, maybe?
During
Yeah.
Christmas, you miss the snow a little bit. It's like really weird to see,
Is
Christmas
most of your family
decorations.
still up there?
They are. They
Okay.
are. So I still visit.
Okay, cool.
But
So you came here to Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Was that in 2015 when you got licensed, or when did you come to Tampa?
no, I came to Tampa like 2006, like right when my son was born.
Okay, got it. So you were already before you were into real estate. Obviously, you were in Tampa,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you got licensed, tell us a little bit about that first full year. So did that immediately take off for you? Was it a little bit of a shock? Was this your first time working in a commission-based type role where you had to eat what you kill, so to speak?
Yes. I mean, waiting tables is kind of like that. The majority of your money is
Tips,
tip money,
yeah.
so it's kind of like that, but it's a little different. I did realize what you learn in the class for real estate is nothing like what you actually do in real estate. So
Teaches you about the legalese and the contracts,
Yeah.
but not like how to run a business.
Exactly. So that was really the thing. But I kind of I felt like, okay, I can do this. I'm not afraid to fail either. And I wasn't afraid of rejection because, waiting tables, I've had people throw tomatoes at me over like the dumbest thing. So I'm like, well, I can deal with someone slamming the door in my face. I'm like, I can go door knocking.
Is that how you got started, knocking doors?
I did. Yeah.
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 So did you have like a certain neighborhood that you targeted and just wanted to kind of get known there, or how did you determine where you wanted to go?
So I did, I did a lot of cold calling.
Mm-hmm.
I would call expired listings, which I really liked expired listings
Okay.
because I just felt like I could kind of warm them up a little bit. I didn't try to be too salesy or too pushy.
Yep.
I just tried to ask them basic questions.
Yep.
Are you still interested in selling? Like that's the biggest
Sure.
thing. But I would door knock expired listings.
Interesting. So were you working with anybody? Did you have a team? Did you have a mentor?
I did. So I started working with Jessica at Century 21 Beggins.
Okay.
Jessica Beggins,
Yep.
actually the broker's daughter. We kind of teamed up for a little bit.
Okay.
Just because it was so nice having someone to go with you. Obviously safety too.
For sure.
And we learned a lot from each other. Because we both have like strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's interesting because not a lot of agents, I think, are even willing to go door knocking anymore, compared to maybe even when you were getting rolling. Or is that the same advice that you might give somebody if they were just getting started, like to get out there and make it happen? It obviously worked for you, right?
I think with all the new rules with cold calling,
Yeah.
I think it's so much better to do door knocking. And it's nice to go face to face.
Yeah.
It's a little brutal in the summer.
Right.
Here, it's crazy, but this time of year, why not? But
How
if you're
long did it take you to
targeting-
get your first deal? Because you didn't have any network down here, right? You didn't know anybody necessarily to tap into.
Not really. Gosh, took me maybe like a couple months.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were as a listing or a buyer?
Listing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that came from door knocking?
It was a cold call.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then did things start to grow? Like, do you remember what you did in your first full year in terms of how many deals you had or what your volume numbers look like?
So part of my first year, I actually worked for a team for Keller Williams. So I was like their ISAs. So
Okay.
I actually made the cold calls for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I branched on my own, gosh, I didn't do very well. Like,
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, you were just
yeah.
learning the business.
Yeah, I mean, I did pretty well, but not like what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Maybe like 5 deals.
Okay. Which is, if you know the stats, even today, like most of the real estate agents out there do 5 deals or less every year, to be honest with you, right? So it's not like for your first year that was too shabby. You got some traction, right?
Yeah.
So how did things start evolving for you? Did you see growth year over year? Did you have like a certain thing that became a breakthrough for you? That, because I know we talked off camera a couple of years ago, you did over 16 million, right, in volume in 2022. I think that was. You know, you did well over 10 million last year. You're in the mid 20s in terms of transactions. So this is all still just you personally, right? We're not working through a team at all at this point.
It's just me.
So, how did you go from doing, say, 5 units like in your first year to growing to doing now mid 20s regularly? Has it just been networking and growing that way, or was there any strategies that kind of accelerated things for you?
So for me, it's focusing on like my past clients. So I get a lot of referral business. I get a lot of repeat business. I think if you really do a good job with your clients, you could be their realtor for life.
Sure.
And it's all about follow-up and being consistent with that. So I do try to reach out, and I try to like be genuinely me too, like actually caring, you know, so, hey, how's everything going with the home? Like following up, 6 months later, they're like, oh, well, I'm thinking about painting my house. Okay, well, I know a couple painters,
Yeah.
and just trying to be that resource. Yeah, exactly.
It's smart. Makes a lot of sense. I think you're obviously intricately involved in a very important decision that they have. So why would you just disappear after they move in, right?
Well, it's like largest financial transaction of their lives.
No doubt.
So.
Yeah, that's smart. So what percentage of your business today, Susie, comes from referrals? Do you know?
Gosh, I would say probably at least 80 or 90.
Are you still out knocking doors?
No.
Okay. Where does the other 10% come from?
I would say sometimes, well, I mean, I get referrals from other agents. So we do have, in our brokerage, we have like a referral network.
Yep.
So a lot of that comes from that. We have a relocation company that we work with. So I do get those military, corporate relocation clients as well.
Okay. Makes sense. So to recap, when you were getting things rolling, you were hustling, obviously, door knocking, cold calling expired listings, whatever it took to get some deals flowing, right, through your pipeline. Once you got at least whatever it was, a handful of deals, or you had some sort of track record of clients that you now have served, you eventually started pivoting and you were getting enough volume from just the referrals from those clients to take some of the, I guess, grunt work away. Is that a fair assumption as to how things have evolved for you?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm focused on. And then I do, farming, postcards. I get a, business from that as well.
Cool. And you live in South Tampa, you said, right?
I do, yeah.
So is a lot of your business there in that market, South Tampa? Yeah.
It is, yep.
Makes a lot of sense. So, what do you, now that you've been in real estate, can you imagine it's almost 10 years already that you've been in real estate license? Next year is 10 years. I mean, it's crazy how quickly it does go, huh?
Yeah.
What do you appreciate the most about it? What do you think is most fulfilling for you about being in the business in the spot you're at?
I think it's really helping people. I love it when I get like a thank you card from my clients, or just when they say thank you, or like the testimonial that you get where I read it and I'm like, oh my gosh, they really do like me. Because it's
not just fake.
I know, because I do try to treat everyone, not only the same, but like how I would want to be treated, or how I'd want someone to treat a family member, just to guide them through that, and be different,
Yeah. You mentioned, you still do follow-up programs and stuff to try to make sure that you build and maintain that relationship. I think it's smart. You mentioned, when you first help them move in, you're going to follow up 6 months later, make sure that if they need anything, you're there as a resource. What does it look like in terms of the way you typically operate the business? Do you have like client appreciation events or anything that you do to still maintain those relationships? Or is it more just one-off kind of reaching out, whether you have a CRM or whatever that reminds you of, hey, you haven't talked to this person in a while? And do you do anything like systematically to try to maintain those relationships?
I'm probably not a very systematic person. Everything I do is sporadic, but I kind of have a system. But I don't do client appreciation events. I do handwritten cards.
Okay.
I just kind of reach out via text or a phone call. Usually just, because I'll stop and think about someone. But I do have a CRM that I'll send out monthly things as well. And I get a
like
pretty
emails
good response. Emails, like just giving them an update on the market. Sometimes, like last year, I sat down all my past clients. I did a CMA for all of them. Just saying, here's how much equity you have, things like that. And I just did a whole report for each and every one of them.
That's cool. How many clients do you have now? Do you know?
Maybe almost 200.
Okay.
That I
do you ever feel like it can get to a point where it's just too much to maintain those personal relationships, or has it not been an issue for you?
It hasn't yet, but I try to not overwhelm myself. So I, like the holidays, I always send out holiday cards and send out like a little gift, and I handwrite everything. But if I'm like, okay, if I can do 5 or 10 a day, then it kind of makes it more manageable.
Sure.
I have thought about like maybe in the future if I need to get someone like an assistant or someone to help me with that, but I kind of want to maintain like keeping it very personal for me though.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. There's always a fine line there. Once you start bringing on staff or delegating certain things, does it lose that personal appeal and touch? And that's always a risk, right? What gets you excited about like where you see your business going for, rest of this year, beyond? Do you have a vision as to where you want it to go? Are you happy with like the way it is right now? You just want to maintain and keep it pretty similar, or what's your vision look like?
So, I mean, obviously you always want to do bigger and better. I think I'm pretty good with things kind of staying where they're at for a little bit. My son is a junior. He's going to be graduating next year. So I've honestly been focusing a lot on him.
Sure.
I try to go to every single baseball game that he has.
You're going to be crying your eyes out when he leaves the house.
I know. I am going to be that parent. I know I am. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to be the cool mom.
Your only son.
But it's, I think, balance between personal life and business life is so important. But after that, I'll be ready to go. I do have, I'm building like a little duplex townhome thing that I personally started. So I'm super excited about that. So I've been focusing on the whole learning process.
Is that for you to live in or as an investment?
As an investment. So I'm going to sell them. It's going to be 2 units.
That's cool.
So I'm excited to start that too and kind of branch out in that way. But like I said, I don't want to miss out on the last, year and a half that I have with him in the house.
No, that makes a lot of sense. He used to go out door knocking with you. I mean, he was there in the beginning of the journey, right?
I know.
Does he want to get involved in real estate at all?
He has kind of mentioned it a little bit. I would never push it on him if he doesn't want to. I did tell him I would want him to at least get his real estate license just to have it for general knowledge. I think it's really important.
Yep.
And, it's a 63-hour course, so it's not like super time consuming. Right. So as long as he took it seriously, but I don't know. I don't know where he's headed. He's kind of.
Do you know where he wants to go to college yet?
Not really. He's got a lot of, things that he's kind of running through. Yeah. I mean, he's focused on a lot of different things. So.
I got you. So for people who don't know you that well yet, even on a personal side, you mentioned earlier you have your son. He's a junior now in high school. Are you not married? I take it, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
Open, single, dating, looking for somebody?
Dating, but yeah.
Dating and see where it goes?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So any single guys out there, you might want to reach out. I mean, who knows? Susie might want to have a conversation. But what do you love to do for fun? What just keeps you busy when you're hanging out with your son or even for yourself?
Well, usually I'm at the baseball field or I'm working.
Yep.
I did start salsa lessons with some of my girlfriends.
Nice.
So we do that on Friday nights.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to get out.
You guys getting good at it?
Definition of good. Am I stepping
Are
on
you proud of
anyone's
like
feet?
sharing your steps, or you want to keep it a secret still?
I'm
I think
gonna
that's
keep it a
how
secret
that's
still.
how I would define the difference between the two.
Yeah, I'll keep it a secret. So. Yeah.
It sounds like fun though. What else do you guys like to do? Just hang out in Tampa a little bit, hit up restaurants, that kind of scene?
Pretty much, yeah. Any place that will take us. Yeah, we're a little rowdy. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, I love to try different foods. I love to travel. I love like little mini vacations, long vacations.
Do you have a favorite place to go?
I love Costa Rica.
Yeah,
I've
that's
been a
beautiful.
couple times. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I went there years ago with my family, and it's kind of a neat environment because at least where we stayed, you were right on the beach. But if you take a 20-minute bus ride, you're in like the middle of a rainforest, in like the mountains. And it was like very different weather patterns, like everywhere you would go in the country.
Yeah.
So I remember going through a jungle there, and it felt like I was in like the Garden of Eden or something because it was just flowers everywhere. It was gorgeous, and there was like hot springs like in the mountains. So we were able to chill there in the hot springs, and they went from the hottest down to the coldest as you walk down the spring. So it was kind of neat.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Yeah, different environment for sure. So you think this is home for you? Do you think you'll stay in Tampa Bay?
I do. Yeah.
Like the market here?
I love just everything that you can do in Tampa. Like you can, downtown Tampa is cool, but then you can go to St. Pete and it's a totally different vibe. And then you can go to the beaches, and we have some of the best beaches,
No doubt.
I think. I mean, I've been to beaches all over, and I still think
St. Pete Beach is pretty money.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't beat it. How often do you get to go back to New York?
Every couple years I'll go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Summer months or Christmas, you said?
Sometimes I'll do Christmas. Try to do summer, I mean, I want it. So my son, I took him back every couple of years because we were trying to see snow because he still hadn't seen snow. And then finally it snowed on one of the last times I took him. So I was like, okay, now we don't have to come back during Christmas.
Yeah. We took our kids out to California last March, and there was a blizzard out there. We stayed at the Big Bear Lake out there, and it was my oldest daughter who just turned 10. She has seen snow before in Connecticut, but the rest of them never did. So they absolutely loved like just having snowball fights and going down the sleds and all that environment and seeing. I just liked hanging out in the hot tub in the snow. It was kind of neat,
Yeah. No, it's cool. I mean,
vibe.
If you've never seen snow before, when you first see it, you're just
Right.
like, oh wow.
Well, I lived in
amazing.
Connecticut, as you know, so I mean,
Yeah.
I saw plenty of snow.
Yeah,
Too much snow
exactly.
in my day.
Exactly.
I don't really miss it that much anyway. So a couple of things, Susie. I'm going to ask you a couple like rapid fire questions here for people again to get to know you a little bit more. So would you say that you have like a favorite book or author or even a seminar maybe that you've attended that you felt like, or even a podcast maybe that's just a favorite podcast that you have that you feel like has made an impact on you personally or professionally?
I like Matthew Ferry.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of his books are really good. Quiet Mind, Epic Life. Tony Robbins, I've read a lot of his books.
Yeah. Have you gone to any of his events?
I have not.
Okay. It's worth checking out.
I know.
I've been to a bunch of them for sure. It's pretty life-changing actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite one of his books?
Gosh, I don't even know.
I guess his original one was the Unleash the Power.
That's probably
the OG.
the one I've read twice. I read his book, like the Money Book.
Yep.
I've read that.
He's been putting out these like 600-page books lately. He's got some monsters.
Yeah, it's like really intense.
Yeah,
like,
it is. The Money Book is big too. I think
Yeah,
that's like
it's like
400
that
pages.
thick,
Right,
yeah.
exactly. His most recent book's called Life Force. He's been on a big health kick lately, and so his Life Force book is about 600 pages. I actually just read it, and it's all about like modern day breakthroughs in health technology.
Oh wow.
It's really interesting. It's a lot of interviews with like doctors and other specialists in various things, but like from cures to cancer and different treatments for all kinds of the cardiovascular disease and all these other things, hormone treatments, everything like that. But it's an interesting read if you want to dig into the whole health space, but it's literally 600 pages. So you better be committed.
Are there any pictures in there?
Better be committed. There's a couple of diagrams, I think, but not much. Yes.
Well, I gotta thank God.
I haven't read a lot of, you said Matthew Ferry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's your favorite TV show or movie? Do you have one?
Oh gosh. TV show. I don't watch a lot of TV.
Too busy, huh?
Well, yeah, kind of, but it's just like, I don't know, I feel like a loser when I watch TV. Yeah. I mean, when I was a kid,
Spoken like somebody who's a high-performing agent.
When I was a kid, I loved the X-Files. It was my favorite show. So
oh, yeah?
everything was like...
You're a sci-fi gal, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Got that imagination?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite food?
Pasta.
Pasta gal.
Which is not good for me at all.
Witzigman, what nationality are you?
I am a mutt. I am a mixture of a lot of stuff, but I think it's German. I don't know. I gotta do that whole 23andMe, but I'm afraid I have like a hidden kid out there that I want to find, so I haven't done it. And
is that possible? But
I was gonna say, how would you have a hidden kid?
I mean, I've heard that from a guy's perspective. But
well, I just heard that happen, so I'm like, oh God. And then like the government now has your DNA, so they could frame me for murder again.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen. Hide the bodies, right?
So my grandfathers on both sides, I think, were like German, Scottish, bunch of stuff, and then I think my grandmother on my dad's side was like Native American, and then my grandmother on my mom's side was like Middle Eastern, Italian, and African.
So you do have a lot.
Yeah.
Witzigman does strike me as a little German.
I think it's German.
There's some German slang going on in there, I think. That makes sense. Do you have any, so one of the things you might have noticed in our magazine is we do these spotlights on like various nonprofit affiliations. We call them Making a Difference, is like a section that we tend to spotlight. Are there any specific causes or anything that's important to you, whether you just donate or that you've spent time with or anything like that?
So I try to do something every quarter. Mm-hmm. Like I just helped out with Habitat for Humanity.
Nice.
Anything with the Humane Society, I've been there before. I've donated there. With our company, we work with Easter seals.
Okay.
So
that's a Century 21 thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can actually donate a part of our paycheck to every time we get it paid. It goes like a portion.
What do they do?
So they work, gosh, I don't even know. I'm horrible.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
So it's like children, like kind of like autism, things like that. But yeah, I just kind of, I'm like, here.
What did you do with Habitat to Humanity? Were you involved with like building homes and stuff?
Yeah, so I went to one project and I helped paint.
Yep.
And then the last one, we kind of just helped move supplies over. Like you'll spend a day, and I guess it just helps with, instead of the homeowner having to do it, you can actually save them some time and save them money in doing it.
Yeah, it's a great cause.
Yeah.
I think, didn't they, I guess it might not have been Habitat to Humanity, but there's like those TV shows now that kind of do something similar where they try to build a home for somebody.
Yeah.
I guess that idea.
I wasn't building any homes, thank God. Like,
Gotcha.
You don't want me with like a hammer or anything like that. I'm like, I'll move stuff and paint, and that's about it.
You'll just sell it. You don't need to build it.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense. I get it. So if anybody wanted to reach out to you, Susie, I think what's interesting about your story from our conversation so far is just, again, you've done a great job being consistent over the years here with just building a referral-based business, right? And there's a lot of different ways to build a real estate business, and we've interviewed people that do it in all kinds of different ways. Mm-hmm. But I always respect somebody who understands the power of like really client appreciation. And in order to consistently produce volume, you have to be getting consistent referrals if that's going to be 90% of your business, right? And obviously you've been able to do that. And I think if you were to really talk to most agents who want to be successful in the industry, that's the way that they would want to do it, right? It's a simple, streamlined model. It's not expensive to invest in, and it feels good, right? Because again, that people must actually like me or else they wouldn't be giving me referrals, right? Like you said before. So I think there's a lot to unpack there. And we've talked a little bit about your strategy about it, but it's hard to teach someone to do it because a lot of it is really just about genuine empathy and caring and really just being connection, you know,
Right.
and connecting with your clients, which you've obviously done, you know, very successfully. So if somebody did want to follow up with you, just pick your brain a little bit more on your referral process, your systems, learn a little bit more about your journey or your story, what's the best way for someone to do that?
Just call me.
Yeah.
I actually pick up the phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
What number should they reach out to? You don't have to drop it on here if you don't want to, but what's the best way for someone to find you? Online, social?
Online, my cell phone's listed.
Okay.
You know, that's my.
Just give her
direct
a
number.
call.
Yeah.
We can list it up too if you want on the on our description when we go with the edited version and everything and post everything out for you. So that's good too. Last question I have for you, and this is designed to get you to think a little bit, I guess, is what I would call our legacy question. And so at some point, you know, you might be sitting on that rocking chair thinking back on your business and your life, right? Mm-hmm. And what do you think, Susie, would be most important for you? What would you want to be most remembered by or for in terms of what you'd want your legacy to be?
I think being a good mom and just always being there for my son.
Do you want more kids?
No.
No, all done.
No.
He was plenty, huh?
He's almost 18, so
Yeah.
it's like starting over again.
Right.
Like, I'm not doing that. But yeah, I think that's really important to me. Like, I do work hard, but I also try to, like, he's my why. He's my reason why.
Yeah, we didn't really talk a ton about it, but like the reality of being a single mom too in real estate, right? And trying to build this career while also having your son, there had to be a lot of challenges that would have brought, one would think.
Yeah.
The fact that you had your son involved in those early days and helping you build the business, I think is kind of neat though too. And so I probably saw, you know, the progression of how your business evolved over time, and that had to be kind of cool for him to be a part of that. I would imagine. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll have to have him on the podcast with you sometime.
I don't think he would do it, but if you
Hear
could get
his
him on
perspective?
here, I would be very impressed.
I got you. If you had to say something maybe to someone else who might be listening to this, who, you know, also is a single mom or maybe is struggling with trying to figure out how to run a business and be the mom she wants to be, is there anything you might share to that person that you think was helpful for you?
Don't beat yourself up too much, because it's like, you know, you're probably going to make mistakes, but I would say communication, you know, like I try to communicate with my son, you know, constantly, like, hey, I'm sorry about this, and, you know, but here I am.
You actually
here.
say, I'm sorry. It's amazing.
Yeah,
the power
I
in
do.
that.
I really do. And I try to talk to him like, you know, he is an adult, but I don't try to like baby him or I've always talked to him like real talk. So we do have those conversations. But I think life in general, you have to communicate with everybody. Mm-hmm. You know, that's in business and personal. And I think that's the biggest thing is just. Yeah.
Well, you're hoping that he stays local when he decides school, or think he's going to want to leave the house? What do you think?
But then I also don't want him to be.
Is he going to break your heart when he leaves, or what?
Yeah.
I know.
I'll probably go with him. I'm like, I'm
coming to school with you. Time for mommy to enroll. That's funny. Well, we're going to put a bow on the episode the way we really always do with all of our episodes, and that is to challenge anybody who might be watching live through any of our platforms, or who watches this or listens to this through our Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any of the podcast platforms that are out there, to take one action step from our conversation today with Susie that you think is going to help propel you forward in whatever direction you want to go personally or even professionally. So we talked about a bunch of different things, and maybe there's something that Susie brought up. Possibly you're getting started in real estate, and you know, her approach of calling expired listings, her approach of going door to door. Maybe that's something you've been intimidated to do or scared to do, but obviously it worked. And not only just for Susie, but for many others that we've also talked to. So maybe that's the inspiration you needed to be able to just do it, right? Just go to work and make it happen. And then know that if you get some momentum going, you can then build a referral-based business, which is what Susie's been able to do. And I think that business, and I would have to imagine, might be a little bit more enjoyable than the one where you're knocking doors all the time, right? She's nodding her head, so I think she agrees with that as well. But or maybe you just need to, you know, pick up the book recommendation that Susie threw out there as well, or have a conversation with her or somebody else about how to really build a referral-based business where you're getting 90% of your volume and doing, you know, close to $20 million a year off of a referral-based system, because that might not happen overnight. But the reality is if you can build that business, that's a pretty sweet business to have. And I know Susie has been able to do that. So do something, right? Take an action step from this conversation that's going to help propel you forward. If you don't yet subscribe to our podcast, you can click the subscribe button right below, and that way you can be notified every time that we drop a new episode, which is weekly, every Friday. Follow us on our Top Producers Nation platform as well, so you'll be notified not only of local top producers here, but also top producers all over the nation as we build our brand. And the last thing I'll say, to start this podcast, you might have saw a little promo for an upcoming event, which is April 25th, our Agent Choice Awards. If you don't know anything about that, you can check it out on our website, TampaBayRealProducers.com. Go to /events, and you'll see a promo there for it. Top agents are invited to RSVP for that event coming up, which is right here at the beautiful West Shore Grand Hotel. We have 15 awards that we're handing out. All the finalists are online. You can see them at tbrpawardsvoting.com. I think Rob dropped that link already in the promo. And so you can vote there. If you haven't voted, take a look at who the finalists are, and it's going to be a fun event. It's like our biggest event of the year. It's our Oscars, basically, where it's black tie affair. We open up the envelopes. It's the whole thing. So it should be a lot of fun. But Susie, thank you for being here today. Excited to get to know you more, hopefully see you at some of our events in the near future. And we'll see you on the next episode, of course, of Tampa Bay Real Producers Podcast. Check you later.
Hi, I'm Troy Walseth with Walseth Teams with Keller Williams in Pinellas County, Florida. We are here at a Real Producers event, learning with the top agents in the country about how to succeed in any market. And I love Real Producers because you have an opportunity to talk to some of the top agents in the area, and they always do a great event.